Welcome in 07 citizens, Black here from CasaBLACK Gaming, and today I'm back with an all-new review for a ship I finally picked up during the Invictus week last month, which is the Crusader Hercules C2 edition of that line, which is the cargo variant. Going into the Invictus event, I had the goal of picking up a cargo ship, but I was not quite sure which one I wanted. But once the Tumbril Storm was announced, that kind of pushed me away from the Caterpillar, which to be honest was the one I was leaning toward, because I really like the multiplayer salvaging use it can get, but also it's just one of the cleverest looking ships in the game. However, once I saw a new tank coming, I decided it was a better investment to go for something I knew could haul the tanks, and even though we found out since that the Corsair will also be able to haul the Storm, I'm still happy with the C2 choice, which I will get to in this review. Now, as usual, if you like this review, then please check out my channel for more reviews and loadout videos along with my helpful to-the-point guides for new and old players alike. And also, if you have been to this space more than once now, if you could like, subscribe, and comment on the videos, it really helps. We're on track to hit my subscription goal of 10,000 for this year, so join in and help me reach that goal. Alright, so with the channel maintenance out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this honest review. Okay, so first here on the screen are the stats for the C2, which is labeled as a large cargo hauler made by Crusader, but I think you will see it can be even more than that after this review is over. The C2 comes with two size 5 pilot controlled hardpoints, which can definitely take care of the average interdictors or other NPC ships that you might run into while out and about carrying your precious cargo. There are two size 5 man turrets for 2 crew members to man as well, each with their own 2 size 4 laser cannons by default. The C2 does not come with missiles, so no additional payload help there. The ship dimensions are 70 meters in length, 94 meters across its beam and width, and then 23 meters in height, making this a very large ship with a pretty large footprint. The crew size is listed as 2, but honestly is meant for 2 to 3, with a third person being able to utilize that second turret and having plenty of places to ride along in, even though there is not a third seat on the bridge for them. The maneuvering combat speed is 135 meters per second. The overall max speed is 963 meters per second, with it taking about 18 seconds to go from 0 to max speed. The cargo is where this baby shines, and where at the moment at least a few more months until the hull C joins the verse is the highest that you can fly now at 696 SCU. The ship claim time at the ASOP terminal is currently, as of 3.19.1, set at 32 minutes and 42 seconds, which can of course be brought down to 10 minutes and 54 seconds for around 17,572 credits if you cannot wait. The ship components are 2 size 3 shields, 2 size 3 coolers, 2 size 3 power plants, and 1 size 3 quantum drive. There are 28 thrusters for stabilization and maneuverability, making it easier than you might think to maneuver, and there are 2 size 1 hydrogen fuel tanks and 2 size 3 quantum fuel tanks, giving you quantum fuel for days. Alright, so for many ships, this is a real concern for some of the ship owners and can determine if they in fact use a ship daily or decide to go with something else different that they find more convenient to get in and out of, and so I include the time it takes to enter a ship for those owners who want to weigh that into their decision. The Crusader Hercules line of ships actually has 2 ways to enter the ship, either through an elevator that drops down below, more on the port side of the ship, or either of 2 ramps that come down at the front or rear of the ship, which is in the back. Utilizing the elevator entrance, which is the one I use most often, especially if I'm entering or leaving the ship and want to restrict the ability for others to be able to sneak on board, will take you right at 50 seconds, which I know seems like a long time, and if you're under fire can seem like an eternity. But remember that this ship is rather large. The bulk of that time is spent riding the elevator or waiting for the interior doors to open. Once off the elevator, you then have those 3 doors to go through to get to the cockpit. Now, is that excessive? Probably, but it could be helped if we could just leave some or all of these doors open as a choice. Alright, so the other way to enter is by taking the large ramps. Now with this method, the long wait comes from the ramp and how long it takes to come down. Afterward, you run up and close it behind you and then take the ladder instead of the elevator, which can save you some time. Then afterward, it's on to those 3 doors again, and now for the surprising part, it takes the same time to enter the ship from outside to your seat, no matter which of these methods you choose. They both take right at 50 seconds, which kind of seems bonkers, but you'd think with the ladder you would save some time, but nope, you don't. So if this is a concern for you, and with so many of those damn doors, it's definitely something to consider that you might want this ship or not. But then again, once you see everything this ship can do, you somewhat do not have a choice depending on what all of you want from your cargo ship. But here's the information for you regardless, so you know, and so you can plan ahead if you think you might come under fire. The Hercules line of ships and Crusader in general for their ships that accommodate more than a single player have so far done a great job at having nice style and including all of the amenities that a player looking to live on board one of these ships needs. Once you head up to the top deck, you have plenty of living space on either side of the ship, with the port side housing the recreation room just past the elevator. Inside you will find the kitchen and one of the coolest places to eat a meal in the verse. Even though it might seem weird that the living quarters are split up on either side of the ship, I do like it. On that same side of the ship, just outside the door and to the right, is a back corner where you will find this awesome Star Trek warp core looking device, and next to it is a weird little cubby area, which is actually a great place to hide and cover if your ship is ever overtaken by pirates, because it gives you excellent line of sight to kill anyone coming off the elevator or from the ladder. Moving on to the starboard side of the ship is where the sleeping quarters and bathrooms are located. There are of course also storage lockers to presumably store armor at some point or other items. There are 2 beds, which as of right now in 3.19.1 you cannot have multiple people log out of the beds, but a solo player can definitely use them. The bathrooms are cleverly hidden, so well in fact that when I first used this ship and the MSR, because they both share the same design language, I couldn't find them and didn't know where they were. Now for those who love ships with external storage options, which is where you and others on this ship can both access storage to share items, the C2 has this type of storage in spades. They are located on either side of the center of the ship next to some system panels that will have more functionality once engineering gameplay comes online. There are 3 of these large containers on each side of the center for more than enough access for you and your shipmates. One last thing to show off here on the interior is the hallway leading to the cockpit. The doors are a design staple of the larger Crusader ships, and like them or not, they are here. In the hallways you will find some weapon racks and some escape pods. The cockpit is very spacious, or too spacious maybe. I know the A2 and possibly the M2 have a 3rd seat in the cockpit, but when you see that the Mist Freelancer squeezed 4 seats in an area smaller than this one, you get the feeling that this space could have been better utilized, but here we are. The Hercules has had 9 different paint jobs, making it one of the more popular ships in terms of receiving paint jobs. There are other ships out there who have not received half of the paint jobs this one has. The 7 colors shown are those that are available now to buy, with the other 2 options being an Invictus Blue and Gold, and then the other was available during the Best in Show period in 2021, which honestly looks sort of similar to the Invictus paint scheme, so it seems a little lazy from that standpoint. I myself am using the Argent paint job, but I also like the Cerberus scheme as well. Would I like to see more paint jobs? Absolutely. The more options, the better in my book, but the one harsh criticism I will lay down on these paints is the pricing. I don't agree that as the ship gets larger, the price should go up. Paint should be one price no matter what the ship size is, and I do not think they should be more than $10 personally, but I'm sure those who are accustomed to cosmetics in other games might not have a problem with this, but yeah. Also, we need more pinks and purples for all of the ships. Those colors are severely underrepresented, and as we saw during Invictus this year, when they released a pink paint job on the Cutter and Vulture, those 2 colors wound up being very popular, but at the same time, they were also more expensive than some of the other paint jobs for the same ship, which was kind of just a cruelty tax. The Hercules is listed as a large transport ship, and that's pretty apt. But what all does that include, and is that enough of a role to make a player want to buy the ship? Well, at the moment, a large transport ship like the Hercules is very useful and can pay for itself in in-game credits pretty fast if running trade is your thing. Being a space trucker can be a very chill way to spend your time playing, and finding decent trade runs can be very fulfilling. Puns. So what else can this big ass ship do? Well, it can carry any of the ground vehicles, including being one of only 2 ships that can currently carry the large tumbril tank, not to mention a variety of other ships depending on your needs. It also has other uses, such as something the org I'm in uses as a training facility for our medical classes that they offer. It makes a great place to gather around and learn, not to mention you can park a Pisces C8R inside of it, basically giving your Hercules a tier 3 medical bed, which is pretty awesome. One other use for this ship that I've been using it for quite a bit lately has been to gather salvage materials in game, such as all those guns from the Hammerhead salvage mission, or just any salvage really. With how those guns can jank around, having so much space is nice and makes salvage easier to deal with. Here is a new section of my reviews which I think is very good to know, and that is a comparison between the Hercules and its closest ships by comparison. And for this I'm also including the variants of the Hercules as well, as they too are comparative for a buyer, so let's start with those first. The M2 is a military variant with an armory so you can store armor, weapons, and even the larger railguns, which is pretty cool. It also has an extra turret for a player to control, but it does lose some of its cargo space, dropping down to 522 SCU, but still very capable of dropping in the ground vehicles that you need. The A2 is the bomber variant and includes like all of the turrets for players to control, like all of them. Like seriously, like 7, and then 4 size 10 nukes. This ship is just mega power and fun to be in when fully manned. The cargo takes a much bigger hit though, as you can expect, going down to 216 SCU, so that is something to consider. Now another ship that is currently in the game and is often the go-to comparative ship is the Drake Caterpillar. The Cat is a very awesome ship and has a very nice amount of cargo space, able to hold 576 SCU, which while is not as much as the C2 is still admirable. Now where the Caterpillar will lose people is in that even though it can hold that much cargo, that cargo is split up between various bays, and so this can also limit how big of say ground vehicles or other ships that you can place inside, whereas the C2 has a huge open cargo bay. However, the Caterpillar makes for a great industrial ship to help out salvagers and even miners, with being long enough to allow multiple smaller industrial vehicles to back up and be serviced or offloaded on either side, making it extremely useful for those professions, so something to consider there, as those side bays can be a lot more convenient when doing more work. The Hercules ships in general are pretty much complete ships other than the escape pods not working yet. Of course, we do not yet have engineering in the game, so that will also make a difference with this ship and others once it's implemented, but for now, the Hercules line of ships are very much capable and working as intended. The Hercules is not a ship that you will be upgrading a lot of, at least not right away. For many, the laser cannons will be good enough, but some might rather have laser repeaters, especially on the turrets, so you can deal with smaller fighters, so that is certainly an option. But the main components that will need to be upgraded is the quantum drive and the shields. The quantum drive is a must, and something I recommend grabbing right away without delay. The shields are quite expensive, so I would upgrade those once you have the money, but the overall cost for just these components will send you close to 400,000, so be aware of that cost. Other than that, you should be pretty much good to go right off the bat. Alright, so the first part of this video has been pretty much mostly facts, but now we come to the part where it's more subjective, and although I try not to really push my opinion too much on others, I will give my take coming from a reasonable place, trying to avoid hyping things for the sake of hype and having you, the player, in mind. Overall, I like the Crusader design language. Now this ship in particular, I don't think its shape is necessarily fabulous, but its function is definitely directing its form, and I'm okay with that. The MSR and the upcoming Spirits have sweet designs that to me are some of the best looking in the game. This one kind of lags behind for me in terms of beauty, but it's still a sight to behold as it's coming in, and its penguin curves still strike fear into the eyes of those who are on the ground and seeing it heading their way, because at first glance you have no idea if you're about to be bombed back to the solar system, and the fact that it's so distinct looking makes me respect its design. So how does the Hercules line of ships fly? Because anyone who has flown some of the medium or large size ships can attest that they can be a pain to either fly, leave atmo, land, or just maneuver. So this is what really sold me on this ship and the Crusader brand in particular. The Hercules are the best flying large ships to me in the verse right now. No ship is really fast in atmo, but the C2 just goes and doesn't feel as sluggish as the Caterpillar, and certainly not as sluggish as the Carrack, which just seems to get worse in terms of maneuvering with each patch. Some people have issues parking the Hercules, and I get that, and my tip for this is to go to the spot you want to land and then come straight down, instead of trying to land it like a plane where you're moving forward as your landing gear hits the ground. Other than that, I actually enjoy flying this ship and even landing it, and if you're a third-person flyer, setting up camera angles for top-down views or the sides can really improve your landings as well. The Hercules is a ship that's been out for more than 2 years now, so many of its bugs were worked out, but with PES and Update 3.18, we did start to see some issues with guns not firing, or parts of the ship or other Crusader ships showing up in the hallways and whatnot. But I think that was more related to the gargantuan update that was PES than with the ships themselves, as we've seen this with other types of ships and not just Crusader. The only issue I've had with this is when riding the elevator, the view sometimes switches to where I appear outside of the ship or through the planet, but it flickers and I'm back in the ship, and it's never caused me any issues. So this is a category that means different things to different people, and the best I can do is offer up my own opinion on why I think it either is or is not worth the real money price or the grind in game. And I do try to keep in mind that a great many people kind of watch what they spend, and so I like to find reasons to justify something's worth, especially in comparison to similarly priced ships that might be close to the same category. So the C2 is expensive. It will run players around $400 real money, which is just an insane amount of money for some players, and with this ship needing money to fill it up, even if you started a day one wipe with this ship, you would still need to grind out credits just to fill it up. Now you could of course spend whatever money you do have, whether you can fill it up or not, and keep doing this until you can fill it up and make more money, but this is not the fastest or best way to make money when starting out, and many trade items make you money due to buying in bulk. Those who might want to own this ship outright are those who know that running cargo or needing to pick up ground vehicles for their org is something you will be doing right away. I know that many of us look at a ship's price from a solo point of view, and this is a very solo friendly ship, but it also is a major org ship, so those who are heavy into their orgs might also want to own this ship outright. Otherwise, the C2 is a very affordable ship to buy in-game, especially for its size, and like I said at the start of this video, it can easily pay for itself with a week or so of heavy trading. In-game, it is available at either the Astro Armada on Area 18 or the Crusader showroom for just under 5 million credits. As for the other Hercules variants, I won't even go into those as their prices go up considerably from the C2 in real money, but again, the option to purchase those in-game is a good way to go, with their prices being much more closer to the C2's price than their real money counterparts. Alright, so here we are at how I think this ship could be improved, or things I would love to see changed if I could come in and just wave a magic wand and have all the ship folks do my bidding. Now, I was thinking about this, and the first immediate thing that came to my mind was to have an S2 version that specializes in holding salvage components or getting salvage components with racks or locking spots for some of those larger salvage jobs. Now, don't forget that we will soon have the ability to also get larger ship components, and I and others are tired of how these components already jank around, and with this being a legit safety concern, it would be nice to see a variant design just for salvage. I would definitely pick up one of these with in-game credits. Of course, a better solution would be to have movable racks you could just place and move about with various sizes, but a ship that could do this would also be nice. Of course, as mentioned earlier, I would like to see more paints as well. Alright, and that is going to do it for the ship review of the Crusader Hercules C2. I have really enjoyed flying this ship, and it's been amazing to have it open my eyes and opinions on the Crusader brand as a whole. I literally upgraded my Taurus to an MSR because I was impressed by how the Crusader ships fly, and I also happen to prefer ramps to elevators for salvage in particular. But that's another topic for another video. I've got plans to do more reviews this summer because I've fallen behind on these and have flown quite a few more ships since my last one, which was the Vulture, so yeah, it's time to get these out. I hope you enjoy these and my channel, and so thank you for taking the time to watch, and remember to be kind to your fellow gamer. The more we learn, the more we grow, and stay positive, and keep yourself watered.